Your webcam light blinks on and you didn't click. What's watching you at work? And what can you actually do about it? Start with one clear image. A company laptop with a tiny camera light. That blink can mean many things. It might be a meeting app, IT updates, or an always-on monitoring agent. Today, we'll map the tools, the risks, and sensible defenses. No legal lectures, just practical steps you can use. First, what counts as workplace surveillance and why the label matters? Because not all monitoring looks the same. Employee surveillance means tech that watches or analyzes worker behavior. That includes keystroke logs, screenshots, webcam checks, email scans, GPS traces, and biometric readers. Think of it like cameras and sensors in a smart store, but applied to people and computers. The spectrum runs from simple badge swipes to continuous algorithmic scoring. Next, we'll break that spectrum into concrete categories so you can spot them on your machines. Keystroke logging tracks keys you press. Activity trackers log app names and active minutes. Some only note idle time. Others capture exact text. Companies say they measure productivity, but these logs miss thinking time and planning. Imagine measuring a writer by keystrokes alone. Silence can be deep work. I'll show how these tools record and what to watch for on your device next. Screen monitoring takes periodic screenshots or records sessions. Some tools blur fields like passwords, others don't. A 5-minute screenshot cadence can still capture sensitive banking tabs or private photos. For some roles, video records assist audits. For others, they cross into personal life. I'll explain how screenshot triggers work and how to spot them on your machine. Webcam and audio monitoring can verify presence or record call sessions. Some systems take snapshots to prove you're at your desk. Others analyze noise levels during calls. Home offices complicate this. Personal rooms, family, and pets suddenly enter the workplace. Laws sometimes require consent for audio and video. Next, we'll cover how audio and camera triggers typically activate and what that means for privacy. Email, chat, and file analysis live on company systems. Administrators can archive, search, and export messages. Tools scan attachments for sensitive patterns and flag risky phrases. That private direct message on Slack may be discoverable. Employers argue this protects data. Employees should assume anything on a work platform is not private. Up next, how network logging and VPNs reveal where you browse even when traffic looks encrypted. Mobile Device Management, or MDM, installs profiles that let IT enforce policies. That can include passcode rules, remote wipe, app restrictions, and location checks. On company devices, this makes sense for security. On personal phones, it creates a privacy gray zone. Without clear separation, employers can see unexpected device data. Up next, biometrics, badge readers, and physical sensors inside buildings and vehicles. Biometric systems use fingerprints, facial scans, or voice prints, and building sensors map movement. Badge swipes and facial recognition log entries and room access. These datasets are highly sensitive. Some regions like Illinois require written consent for biometric collection. Collecting this data increases regulatory risk and potential breaches. Next, we'll look at why companies deploy surveillance and the business reasons behind the tech purchase decisions. Employers usually have 3 drivers: security, productivity, and safety. Security teams want to prevent data leaks. Managers want to measure output. Safety teams track field employees. Asset teams protect devices. These goals can be legitimate, but poorly implemented tools can erode trust. Metrics can shape behavior in surprising ways. Next, we'll unpack the common harms and unintended consequences surveillance creates in real workplaces. Surveillance often hurts trust and morale. People who feel watched report more anxiety and lower engagement. Metrics can create performative behavior, moving the mouse to look busy. Home life spills into work when webcams capture private spaces. Collected logs also become a juicy target for attackers, and algorithms may misinterpret context, penalizing neurodiverse or caregiving workers. Next, what the law permits and where legal protections differ by region. In the United States, employers often have broad leeway over company systems. Federal statutes and state notice laws create pockets of protection. Illinois' biometric law is strict. California's privacy statutes give employees notice and rights in some cases, but practice varies by state. If you work in the US, notice rules and sector limits matter. Coming up, I'll contrast that with GDPR rules in Europe and the UK. In the EU and UK, GDPR forces employers to justify monitoring under lawful bases and proportionality. Authorities expect transparency, impact assessments, and worker consultation. Courts have ruled that undisclosed or excessive monitoring violates privacy. That higher bar often limits covert tools and demands safeguards. Next, we'll summarize Canada and Australia, where notice and reasonableness set expectations for employers. Canada and Australia require reasonable purposes and notice. Provinces add extra rules. Ontario asks employers to publish monitoring policies. In parts of Australia, covert surveillance faces strict limits. Across these countries, transparency wins. Written policies, limited collection, and impact checks reduce risk. Now let's jump into real examples where monitoring went too far and what those cases teach us about practical limits. Barclays used desk monitoring that warned staff when they stepped away. Public pushback followed, and the tool was dropped. Amazon's warehouse systems and van cameras raised well-being and privacy alarms. Microsoft adjusted its productivity score after criticism. Call centers asked remote agents to enable webcams, sparking controversy. These cases show how legitimate goals, efficiency, safety, can cross lines without consultation. Next, how to check if monitoring tools are on your device right now. You don't need forensic skills to find monitoring signs. Start with policies. Ask HR for the electronic monitoring policy. Inspect device settings for profiles named Jamf, Intune, CrowdStrike, or vendor names. Scan installed apps for monitoring products like ActiveTrack or Terramind. Check VPN settings and look for secure web gateway hosts. If an app requests camera, mic, or screen capture permissions, note why. Next, I'll walk through concrete steps to protect yourself without risking your job. First practical rule: separate work and personal life. Use a dedicated work device for company tasks. If you must use a personal phone for work, ask IT for a containerized work profile. That keeps employer controls out of your personal apps, photos, and messages. If IT resists, ask for written justification. Next, we'll cover camera, microphone, and screen hygiene you can adopt immediately. Use a physical webcam cover and mute your mic when not needed. Close unrelated tabs and apps during work to avoid accidental screenshot exposure. If your employer requires webcam checks, ask for defined schedules and no off-hours activation. For audio, prefer push-to-talk in meetings. Small habits reduce accidental privacy spills. Next, we'll talk about network behavior and when to avoid corporate VPNs for personal browsing. Don't route personal browsing through a company VPN. A work VPN funnels traffic through corporate logging and proxies. Use your home network or a trusted personal VPN for private activity. Always assume traffic on corporate networks gets logged. Keep personal cloud backups off company devices. These steps limit accidental exposure. Next, documentation and asking for boundaries. How to request policies and protections in writing. When asking about rights, reference local rules. In the US, mention state notice laws and sector limits. In Europe, ask for the lawful basis and a data protection impact assessment. In Canada and Australia, request written monitoring policies and reasoned purposes. Citing these expectations often prompts clearer answers. Next, a quick mid-video recap so you can remember the practical checklist we've built so far. Recap quickly. Identify monitoring. Separate devices, mute cameras, avoid work VPNs for personal use, and request written policies. Keep evidence like screenshots of permissions or unclear policies. These actions protect privacy while keeping trust intact. One more thing. If you suspect illegal or secretive monitoring, there are escalation paths. In the next scene, I'll outline who to contact and how to raise concerns safely. If monitoring seems illegal or covert, escalate carefully. Start with HR, then company privacy or legal teams. Keep records and note dates. If internal routes fail, contact labor boards, data protection authorities, or a privacy attorney. In some countries, whistleblower protections apply. Don't delete evidence, document it. Finally, let's close with a compact, practical checklist you can use tomorrow to reduce exposure and assert your rights. Final checklist. 1. Read and save monitoring policies. 2. Use separate devices. 3. Cover webcams and mute mics. 4. Close personal tabs during work. 5. Avoid company VPN for personal browsing. 6. Ask for written boundaries and retention rules. 7. Keep records if you suspect misuse. These practical moves reduce accidental exposure and create a record if you need to escalate. Next, a closing thought about workplace culture. Surveillance is a technology, not fate. Companies choose how intrusive their tools will be. The healthiest workplaces pair security with respect, transparency, and employee consultation. Push for policies that measure outcomes, not appearances. Small gestures, clear notices, limited retention, and human reviews transform monitoring from a dagger into a safety net. If you're ready, use the checklist, ask for clarity, and help shape better practices at your workplace. If you want one practical starter line to send HR, try, could you share our monitoring policy, data retention schedule, and impact assessment? Keep it polite and specific. That request often prompts documentation, or at least a timeline. If nothing comes back, document your request and escalate. You don't need to be confrontational to insist on basic privacy. Ready to wrap up with one final encouragement and where to go next? If this helped, like and subscribe for clear workplace tech guides. Share one monitoring question you've seen in the comments so I can cover it next.